What's going on, everybody? It's Dr. Chris Featherstone here for yet another episode of Unscripted. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Tuesday night. You know what that means. I have some of the biggest, the baddest, the best of today and yesteryear. And this night's no different, ladies and gentlemen. Look, if there's anybody who's got the spirit, okay? If there's anybody who's got the spirit, I know a guy. All right, I know a guy. And his name's Johnny. His last name is Jeter, and he's a former WWE Tag Team Champion. Johnny Jeter, how are you tonight?
I'm doing good. That was a heck of an intro, bro.
Thank you, man. Thank you. How's life, man?
Life's good, man. Can't complain. Just living in Northern California. Just working my day job. Starting a wrestling school on the side, and just kind of living the dream, man.
Awesome, man. So you took a big break from pro wrestling, and a couple of years ago, you got the itch again and came back and did some shows, didn't you?
Yeah, so when I left pro wrestling, I closed that door. I was done. Went back to Cal State Northridge, got my accounting degree. Worked for a company called Deloitte, got into IT audit, of all things. So random. But yeah, no, I was when I was done, when I left wrestling, I was done with wrestling. But then around 2018, I met up with another former wrestler, and he was wrestling a championship wrestling from Arizona. So I went and checked it out, and I was like, man, I don't know if I ever have it in me to wrestle, at the WWE level. I mean, it's pretty demanding physically, mentally, emotionally. It's a lot. Yeah. But I'm like, yeah, at the indie level, I mean, I'm not in it for the money. I just miss performing. So yeah, I got involved locally down in Arizona. Had some great matches, a lot of great wrestlers down there, and kind of satisfied that wrestling bug for a time.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, speaking of satisfying a wrestling bug, I mean, you kind of took a nosedive into it and started your own training facility. So let the listeners know about that.
Yeah. So again, I went to Ohio Valley Wrestling, right, which was like the Harvard of professional wrestling schools at the time. So many amazing wrestlers and talent came out of there. Brock Lesnar, John Cena, Victoria. I mean, CM Punk,
Batista.
Dude, there's an endless list that that you can't even get into. But it's extensive. But again, I was thinking, I'm I know Danny Davis's model who ran Ohio Valley Wrestling. And I just thought to myself, why don't I do that in Northern California? I'm well, let me just see if there's any professional wrestling schools out here. There's one in San Francisco, but there's nothing near the Sacramento area. And I was I'm just going to open up a school. Nothing crazy, but I'll just teach guys the right way. I'll teach them exactly what I learned at Ohio Valley Wrestling. Start small, maybe run some local shows monthly to get the guys experience. And we'll see what it turns into, So yeah, it's called Manticore Wrestling Academy.
Nice.
Which is symbolic, but
it's symbolic for you care to share.
So yeah, I would love to share. Thanks for asking. I led myself into that one. No, so a manticore is the body and head of a lion, the wings of a dragon, and the tail of a scorpion. Okay. So if you went to professional wrestling school, they would say, Chris, name 4 wrestlers that inspire you or that you would loved watching growing up. Let's say you said Chris Benoit.
I'll tell you 4 if you need me to.
Well, let me tell you my 4, then I want to hear your 4.
Okay.
I'll tell you how it relates. So Chris Jericho, Chris Benoit, Jeff Hardy, Shawn Michaels.
Okay.
Let's just take those 4, for example. Yeah. Well, what do you like about them? Oh, well, I like Jericho's ring style. I love Jeff Hardy's selling. I love Chris Benoit's intensity, and I love Shawn Michaels' charisma. Okay, well, take all the best parts of the guys you like and make it you. So a manticore kind of does that. Wings of a dragon, scorpion, lion. And I'm like, so it's kind of symbolic in that sense. So yeah. So who are your 4 favorite wrestlers? Who inspired you?
So I'll give you my top 5 of all time. Ready?
And why?
Okay. All right. So number 5 all time is Booker T.
Okay.
Booker T.
Great one.
I've been watching wrestling for 35 years, a little over actually, and he was like one of the biggest, like most inspiring black wrestlers, because I followed him when he started wrestling at Global, him and Stevie Ray, the Ebony Experience. And I just really liked his journey to the top. I remember he was tag team, then he went to singles, did TV title run, did
Harlem Heat.
Then he went to, and so that was inspiring. Jericho, number 4. I followed him. I started following Jericho in ECW. I like the lion heart. I like the type of mentality of just like a fighter, just against all odds. Not the biggest, but at the same time, he had a heart of a lion. It was, fighting the competition regardless of his size. Number 3 of all time is Ricky Steamboat.
Legend. Yeah, arm drags were insane.
Absolutely, yeah, man. Those arm drags were just poetic. They're called I call them the poetic arm drags. He was just the baby face of all baby faces. He was just the quintessential good guy. That's I remember his WCW song, loves his wife and son and does the best he can. And that was it, man.
Classic baby face.
That's a baby face, man. Number 2 is Dustin, baby. Just because, Dustin Rhodes, baby. He's a
legend.
Yeah, he's a legend, man. He's there's so much to say about Dusty Rhodes as far as charisma is concerned. Son of a plumber. Didn't have, his honey was a little big, but he bad, he bad, right?
Right.
So and then number 1's all time Sting. I'm a Sting mark.
Stinger. Yeah. Nice.
Yep.
Good one.
Yeah, those are my top 5, man.
Well,
cool. You ready to get into these questions, man?
Let's do it.
Cool. Guillermo's starting with your opinion on Dolph Ziggler's time in WWE.
Oh, man. Dolph is just killing it, and I'm so proud of him. And I think it was tough when we were up there because it was very cutthroat, and maybe it's still like that today. I'm not sure, but I just remember being up there, and I knew 90% of the locker room because a lot of them came from Ohio Valley. All of us did. We were like a big fraternity, but you always felt like you were walking on eggshells up there because there's no guarantees up there. To me, it almost felt like we were cattle, right? And so we knew the Spirit Squad had a limited lifespan, right? Initially, we were like, not sure how we feel about it, but let's embrace it, take the ball, run with it. And we had a fantastic time. After we knew it was kind of trailing off, we were trying to figure out what we wanted to do. And I don't think anyone, without a doubt, everyone, all those guys in the Spirit Squad were very talented, including Dolph. It's weird calling him Dolph. I want to call him Nick. I'm not sure how to refer
Nicky.
to him. Nicky, yeah, Nick Nemeth. But no, I think Nemeth just blew all the naysayers away, and I think everyone knew that he was going to have a successful career, but I don't think anyone anticipated or expected him to do what he's doing today. And he's just a phenomenal man. I'm watching him on TV. I'm watching him sell, and there's little nuances of his performances that are top notch that you can't even teach. It's just something that you get over time. And so I would recommend any wrestler, potential wrestler out there who's trying to make it in the business. You want to learn how to sell? Watch Dolph. He's definitely worth watching.
Yep. Speaking of Spirit Squad, were you ever called in in 2016 for the Dolph and Miz feud, or not? In your opinion on the feud?
So yes, I was called. I was on my way. I was driving from San Diego to visit my family back to Arizona, and I got a call from Mark Carano. Asked me if I wanted to come do a gig. He's like, could last one night, could last 6 months. We're not sure yet, but can you make it? And I was like, let me talk to my wife and I'll get back to you. So he said, okay, cool. So the company I worked for was Deloitte and Touche, and they are the external auditors of WWE. WWE is publicly traded. So I knew there was probably a compliance or just a conflict of interest there. And I'm not on the account. I'm not a manager on the account. I'm not invested in the company. And I kind of made that argument, and I notified HR and legal, and I got this huge email saying you cannot perform any paid or unpaid services with WWE because they're in a test client, a restricted entity. Sorry. And the partners got involved, and they're like, dude, that's sick, bro. You got to do this. Let us reach out. And partners like the highest level Deloitte. Didn't matter. Nothing. So I didn't get a chance to do it. But to be honest, I saw Dolph in the middle of the ring with Mondo and Doan. I don't really know what the storyline was. I saw them in there doing something with them. I think I saw a clip on Facebook, but I don't really know anything about the feud or how it panned out.
I've talked to Nick about it. I've talked to Ken Doan about it a bunch of times. And he's explained, just like you said. I mean, it was, he didn't know the length. I mean, he didn't know how far it was. He was just kind of winging it week after week type of deal. And they were just like, okay, we're done with you guys. So
I'm so surprised it was a limited run, because have you seen what Doan looks like right now?
Oh yeah, he's
Doan, bro, he's a freak of nature. Doan looks incredible, and Doan's incredibly talented. I would say he above anyone else had a lot of those nuances, in his ring style early on. He's a phenomenal wrestler. Mondo, dude, he was teaching the amateur class at Ohio Valley Wrestling. Mondo may not have the size, but his mindset for psychology and technical wrestling is uncanny. Like it's unmatched.
And his charisma is huge.
Charisma is incredible. I'm just surprised that, I know they brought him in, I think, as guest trainers at NXT. I'm just surprised that they let a lot of, in my opinion, what does that mean? But I feel like they let a lot of talent go by the wayside, which is too bad.
Yeah. Rory's asking, greetings from Puerto Rico. What were your original thoughts when you got pitched the idea of being in the Spirit Squad? What would you change about your character from then to your character now?
Oh man, great question. So when we got called up, like when you're in Ohio Valley, you do kind of like house show runs, right? You'll do, non-televised events. You may, I'm paired with Hardcore Holly and I'm wrestling the Mexicools. Oh, cool. You never know what you're going to get. So then when you get a call saying the 5 of you are coming to Raw, we didn't know if it was to do something together, or separate. We just said, come to Raw. Maybe some of us will work a dark match, maybe work a tag, whatever. So when they said, throw these uniforms on and, you guys are going to be male cheerleaders, I think a lot of our hearts sank, because I mean, let's say you got called up, Chris, and you were like, "Oh, dude, I'm gonna be the man. I'm gonna be kind of like Stone Cold, like the bad A, like that, takes names and beats people up." I'm trying to watch my language, but you just imagine yourself like a Jericho type, whatever, and then they say, "Oh, you're gonna be a male cheerleader." You're kind of like, oh, but again, the mindset, the idea behind it was, what do people hate more than anything? A male cheerleader, at least at the time. I'm not saying that's the way that people think now. So we kind of just took the ball and ran with it and had a great, I mean, man, we wrestled Kane and Big Show, we wrestled DX, Flair, Piper. I mean, dude, we were very fortunate enough to wrestle some major legendary names up there, and I think we're forever grateful for it. So again, to answer the question, initially not thrilled, but once we were there, you kind of just appreciate it for what it is, and you never know how long it's going to last. But after it's over, you know that you have an opportunity to do whatever you want up there, so it's kind of getting in the door is tough, even if you're developmental, but once you make it to the main roster and you sign a booking contract, now do whatever character they tell you to do, and after that you can do whatever you want. So you kind of got to think longer term, less I'm a cheerleader.
Yeah, that's a good point. Alan's asking, do you think Dolph Ziggler deserves another run with the world title in WWE?
Yeah, man. I think Dolph he's almost like a little HBK, man. Like he's got the experience, he's got the in-ring knowledge. He's a veteran. Like he's got all the tools to be a draw in that company. And I think you just you gotta give him the opportunity. I know he's had that in the past. And again, I was kind of disconnected from wrestling for a while, so I didn't watch his initial title run. But I know absolutely, like, I mean, he has that vibe where like the girls want to be with him and the guys want to be him. It's kind of like Shawn Michaels, right? And so I think to a younger audience or to whoever, I think he has all those qualities that would draw viewers and ticket buyers to those seats, because ultimately that's what it comes down to, is making money. And can he draw money? And I absolutely think he can.
Nice. Elvis is asking, did you enjoy what DX always did to you? What did you learn from them in the back?
What did I learn from them in the back? Did I enjoy? No, man. Okay, I want Elvis to think at home. What if you got put, in a match with DX and you're wrestling your idols? Like, it's incredible. And you think that these guys would have like egos, or like, oh my God, I'm just going to keep my mouth shut. Let's put a match together, this and that. But no, they went out of their way to solicit our feedback, help put a match together. I remember we had a 2-segment match on Raw, and we were trying to think of what to do. And again, you're when you're as green as we were, which when you're in WWE initially, when you first get there, you're green. Shut your mouth, do what you're told, keep your ears open, your mouth shut, all that stuff. So you have Shawn and Hunter saying, "Oh, what do you guys want to do?" Like, I don't know, sir. What do you think we should do? Like, you're doing that. Nice. But we were talking. We were kind of at a standstill, and I said, "Why don't we do a mini heat on Shawn, and then Hunter can do the late comeback?" And they kind of looked at each other like, "Yeah, that's cool." So the point I'm trying to make is like they were open to working with us and putting a match together. They were super cool, super funny. We kind of went back and forth, joking with them a lot in the backstage. And Mitch, I mean, I don't know. Mitch he got messed with pretty hard, but Mitch was hilarious. Like, he would have everyone in the locker room rolling, laughing, including those guys. So a lot of fond memories of working with them. I actually have a little story too about Shawn. It actually is Cena too. I'll tell the story. Anyway. Cena and I went to the gym. I used to ride with him and Eugene, and we went to the gym. And afterwards, they had pure proteins in the little thing. So I got a pina colada. I'm like, oh, I haven't tried that flavor before. Let me try it. So I drank it, and then Cena's like, oh man, that's gonna ruin you. And I said, why? He's like, it's pina colada, bro. Like, it's pure protein. Like, it's gonna go straight through you. You were better off skipping the middleman, just pouring that in the toilet. And so anyway, we stopped at a gas station. Cena was on the phone, and I went to the bathroom and I had diarrhea. I don't know why. Don't ask me why, but I took my phone and I recorded the sounds of it. And then so when I got back in the car, Cena was on the phone. I put up to his ear and played it. He's talking to the guy. He's like, I gotta go. I just heard something that changed my life. And then we get to TV, and Shawn was eating some like a steak dinner. He got it like Texas Roadhouse. He sent probably some indie guy to go get it. And I got talked into by Cena playing the sound for Shawn while he was eating, and I played it. He started laughing. He just put his stuff. He's like, I've lost my appetite. But
nice.
man, we had a great time with those guys. They were awesome.
That's awesome, man. Thanks for sharing that story. Big shout out to DJ Eric, $2 super chat. Whatever happened to Jaden Jeter?
Good question. What did happen to Jaden Jeter? By the way, there was after Spirit Squad ended, they were like, "Oh, we have too many Johnnies," and they take things out of pop culture, like Evan Bourne, Bourne Identity. It's like they take things out of pop culture and make it you like, "Oh, we have too many Johnnies," and I think Britney Spears had just had her kids, so they were like, "Oh, well, one of them's named Jaden. Why don't we call you Jaden Jeter?" So that's how I got that, and I think I went to SmackDown ECW. No, I did a lot of house shows, a lot of overseas tours as Jaden Jeter, but never debuted on TV. And it was at some point where I left wrestling, and I never had the opportunity to debut him. But he's still alive and well, though.
There you go. Very nice. Windows asking, Spirit Squad versus DX, was the poop real that was dropped into Vince, Shane, and the Spirit Squad?
Was the poop real? Would you believe me if I said yes?
No.
No, it wasn't real. It was chocolate sauce. It was Baby Ruths. It was Tootsie Rolls. And so that stuff just poured on us. But we were told, like, just imagine it's real. And if you're even if it's chocolate, it smells good. It's not, it's bad. You just started thinking, like, what if this was real? And then, like, all of us were legitimately, like, gagging because you're in the moment and you think it's real, but no, it was not real. It was chocolate.
Thanks for sharing. DJ Eric with the $5 super chat. I also want to add that Johnny Jeter versus Chris Jericho from OVW from July 25th, 2003 as a must-see match. Miss your brother come back to Louisville, Kentucky.
Thanks, man. That was like one of the biggest matches of my life, wrestling Jericho, and it was right after his match with Shawn at WrestleMania. And I've always been a huge Jericho mark, and wrestle at Six Flags Super Summer Sizzling Series. Jeter vs. Jericho. We had some vignettes, and we wrestled. And man, working a match with Jericho was incredible. And I was super nervous in the sense because we planned like 9,000 false finishes. So as we were in the back, I'm like, okay, we got this, we get that, and like I just was so terrified of messing something up. But Jericho was awesome. He bought us all dinner after that night, thanked my mom, and it's super cool. I saw him actually 2 weeks later. I went to Raw and I didn't get a match, but we have to work out in the ring at noon beforehand. And I was like, oh crap, I forgot a shirt. Like Sylvain Grenier from La Resistance was there. I'm like, yo, Sylvain, do you have like a shirt I can wear? He's like, I have this Hulkamania shirt. And I was like, oh, you don't have anything else? No. So I wore a Hulkamania shirt. And I ended up working out that day, and I saw Hulk and Vince talking, and he's like, dig the shirt, brother. And I just felt like an idiot. But afterwards, I asked for a highlight reel shirt from, I think, Conway. And so he's like, yeah, I'll get it for you. And then when I was watching the monitor backstage, someone hit me with the Jericho highlight reel shirt, and it was Jericho. So Conway went and told him. And Jericho was like, hey, man, thanks for working me, at OVW. I had a great time, man. Maybe next time I can put you over. And I was like, you already did. Like, thank you so much. Felt like a little mark that because he knew I asked for a shirt, but man, he was incredible. Super cool dude.
You felt like a mark for Jericho, but in reality, it appeared that you were a mark for Hogan. Wearing the Hulkamania shirt, brother.
Yeah. Oh man.
Christopher is asking, any thoughts on AEW? Do you like what they're doing?
Ooh, yes, I definitely like AEW. I think what they're doing is amazing, and I'm glad that they're giving some competition, legitimate competition now to WWE. I think, and I know all of those guys are extremely talented wrestlers, like without a doubt. I think there's things that I've seen that I know I would have been fired for in WWE. And I go back to my training, and I think a lot of OVW guys, because we learned kind of that old school mentality, like less is more. Tell a story in the ring, like sell. Like, dude, selling and telling a story that the fans can understand you can get so much more out of less. So when I see these spots, like a tag match almost looks like two singles matches. I look at it and I'm constantly critiquing, just like anyone would, right? Like the dancer's watching another dance performance, you're constantly critiquing things, and I think that's what I see. So maybe the average fan may not see that. But that aside, no, I actually love AEW. I think what they're doing is amazing, and I'm proud of those guys. They're very talented.
Dare I ask any critiques that you can think of offhand?
Critiques about AEW?
Yeah.
Just that I'm not a fan of like I get the whole lucha style, which is an art in itself, but I don't even know if you classify this as lucha, but like I see guys like boot, run, hit the ropes, hit him in the knee with the face. The guy turns around and then he goes to hook him, but then the guy reverses it and then boots him and then puts him in. It's like you just made that kick and that running knee mean absolutely nothing. Yeah. And they're just setting guys. They're just doing these spot fest. And the thing is, the spot is getting over. People are oohing and eyeing the spot, right? Doing a 540 lucha plancha off the top rope. Like it's impressive. And again, I'm saying these guys are athletic, but like if they came to my school, right? And obviously these guys are the most talented guys in the world. They're wrestling at a world-class level, but I would give them honest feedback. I'm like, dude, you could do 25% of that, tell a story and make it all mean so much more. And I'm not knocking them. That's just my feedback, because you're making yourself look weak. But when I say the spot is getting over, like I don't like the spot. You can only do that for so long. You can only ooh and ah. You got to keep one-upping it every night. And if you don't, they're going to be disappointed. So don't look at The Rock. Look at Hogan. Look at Hogan.
Exactly.
Those guys never went to the top rope, right? And it's like you can do so much more, tell a story, and emotionally suspend and the disbelief of the viewers and the fans, and get them emotionally in the palm of your hand to buy into it. And the way you do that is to make it look real. Like the point of a match is to win. So you should constantly be going for pins. Why would you pick a guy up off the mat, right? You hit him with a 540 plancha, 1-2 kick out. Oh, that was 3 ref. Pick the guy up. Like, no, and the guy needs to sell. That guy should be pushing the guy away from him and trying to sell to a buckle, sell to the ropes. Just because then as a fan, I'm like, oh, like the guy's trying to win. This guy's trying to get away from him. Like, oh, he's really hurt. Or maybe he rolls out of the ring. The guy's selling like, man, my neck's really messed up. Like, I'm just saying it's little things like that translates to the fans. And it goes such a long way. And I don't see that, in my opinion. But what do I know?
Look, I'm going to tell you as I'm gonna tell you as someone who is a huge fan of old school wrestling. I was just amening so much of what you said in my head. Because, I was just. It was just. I agree with you, man. I agree with you so much, man. I started watching wrestling in the mid '80s, and so I'm hooked to the psychology behind wrestlers. I always say behind wrestling. I always say wrestling should be 70% what happens outside the ring and 30% what happens in the ring. So before you even stepped in the ring, I should know who you are. I should know, you should give me a buy-in. You should give me basically a layout of who you are and why I should care. Right. And so before you even stepped in the ring, the ring stuff is just kind of icing on the cake to me, because if you think about Hogan and Andre, for instance, it's like they were good friends. Andre got jealous that Hogan got a better reward than he did. And so you got this little rogue, this little weasel, talking in his ear, like, there's no way. Look at what Hogan's getting over there. You know what I mean? Yeah. And for years, Andre was this huge mega baby face, winning all the battle royals and being the biggest attraction in the 70s and the early 80s, right? And all of a sudden he's like, all right, man, he's got a point there. Yeah, I've been undefeated for 15 years. When this is what I get, I'm reluctant, but you've got a point there, Bobby Heenan. And then Hogan's like, yeah, because that's my boy over there. That's Andre. That's my guy. And all of a sudden he rips the chain off. He's like, no, brother, not like this, brother. You know what I mean? And I'm sold. I'm hooked. Like, no way, man. And Heenan's there, like, just weaseling his way and getting in the mind of Andre. And the thing is, it's like arguably the most popular match of WWE history of pro wrestling history is WrestleMania 3, right? Hogan versus Andre. That is the match, the irresistible force versus the immovable object. And it was barely, a half dozen moves in that match. You
Yeah,
know what I mean?
they
But
did
it was to
nothing
tell
but
the
the
story, though. So
right. Yeah.
yeah,
I will caveat or add to you to what you said on, and I think for a lot of when you're established, it's easy. Like you said, I want to know who they are before they even get in that ring. But
hmm
I would say there's a lot of wrestlers that don't have that luxury. And if you don't have that luxury, you got to be able to tell a story to make someone like you, an educated, lifelong wrestling fan, care about. I don't know these two guys. Like I don't. There's no storyline. Like make
yeah,
I paid money for a ticket. Make me care. Make me
that's
want to
right.
pay to see you guys.
Yep,
How are you going to do that? Oh, I'm going to do 9 million spots. Okay. And maybe to some fans they'd be like, "Oh yeah, that's great," but now you've got to continuously do that night for night, and you're not getting over
yeah,
the spots that they're going. This is awesome.
yep.
Okay,
Holy S, you know what I mean?
they're
They're not really chanting your name. They're saying this
no,
is
they're
awesome or
not
holy
booing
S.
you
You know
and
what
they're not cheering
I mean?
you. They're
Yeah,
cheering the spot, and
exactly.
I
Yep.
just think guys need to get away from that. But
I
whatever.
agree with you, man. And you brought a good point as far as like if I don't know you, if I don't know who you are, give me some buy-in and tell a story in the ring. That's why I like New Japan wrestling. I'm a big fan of New Japan because it's like a lot of New Japan wrestling. They know how to tell stories in the ring, and they still act upon their character while they're in the ring. You know what I mean? And I like that. I'm a big fan. So Tim's a big fan of this interview. You're very cool and down to earth, Johnny Jeter.
Thanks, Tim. Appreciate that, brother.
Absolutely. All right. Couple real quick ones. Let's do a lightning
You're
round. You
good.
ready?
I'm in no rush. Yeah, let's do it.
All right. Let's do Matt Capitelli. He was a really nice guy, by the way. I've had some
Eric the
interactions with
Rage
Matt
Montgomery. There's a Matt Capitelli tag with him into facing him, miss Cap. Oh man, Cap was incredible. Wrestling him, putting matches together with him. It's hard. It's hard to. Man, I feel like I could talk all night about Cap, but man, Cap was just probably the moral compass of Ohio Valley wrestling. Like, dude was just such a walked and lived the straight and narrow.
Mhm.
Um, was an example to all of us. Putting a match together was super fun. We were always laughing around Matt. Guy joked all the time, and I miss him. I went to see
Yeah.
him in Louisville when he was a little sick, but that was tough. But no, great memories. Love my matches with Cap. For my favorite matches of all time,
Yeah.
honestly, have been with Matt.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, I agree, man. He was just, I'm a fellow believer in Matt Capitelli, and I would have those conversations with each other, and it was inspiring. It was good
Yeah.
to have that with them. So very nice guy. What's your thought on Big E winning the WWE Championship? Do you ever have a chance to interact with him?
Great question. No, I never met Big E. I think it's awesome that he's getting an opportunity to win the title, and I think it's anytime someone is, whether you want the guy, the guy, you think he's over or not, or what he's deserving or not. Like, I know he's been there a while. I know he's worked really hard to be where he's at, and he wrestles at a world-class level. So the guy has all the talent to take the ball and run with it, and I'm sure he will. I think what it comes down to is, like, if he can tell it, like I said, tell a story in the ring, be entertaining, and get fans to buy in, fans and non-fans alike, like, then no, I think he'll be a great regardless of anything. I think he'll be a great champion, but I've
Yeah.
never met him. No.
All right. To respect your time, let's do one more here.
Okay.
Michael's asking, what do you think of CM Punk's comeback?
Oh, see him. No, I think it was awesome. And you know what? I'm almost pissed. I missed it. I think Antonio the Promise Thomas of the Heartbreakers sent me a video of it, and I just was like, oh my God. And those are the moments that, like, as a wrestling fan, you live for. Like,
Yeah.
it's just the energy, and you're like, wow, this seems monumental. This seems like industry changing. It almost gives you goosebumps thinking about it. And Punk's a cool dude, man. Anytime I ever worked with him, had a match with him, he was awesome, man. I have no bad things to say about CM Punk, and so I'm glad that he found life outside of wrestling with UFC,
Mhm.
and he's making a comeback and doing his thing, and yeah. And the one thing I will say about CM Punk, I would say I'm jealous in a way, because it makes me wonder, Like I don't think he was ever going to be in the Spirit Squad. I think like someone like Elijah Burke, I know he
Elijah
was
Burke,
going,
yeah.
and then he turned it down.
Mhm.
But it made me wonder. I'm like, what if like I had turned it down, and then where would I be now if I had? And I don't. I mean, I love my life right now. I love my wife. I love my job. I love what I'm doing right now. I wouldn't take any of it back. But there are moments where I think about that. And so someone like CM Punk, like I remember he came out at I don't remember the WrestleMania it was, but he was 22 maybe or 23, but he was one of the gangster guys holding a gun.
Cena, yeah.
That's Cena's entrance, yeah.
Yeah.
And what if they would have given CM Punk, for example, the Spirit Squad gimmick, even knowing everything about the way he wrestles and what he does, would that have altered history in a way? So, but he never did. He stuck to who he was, his character. He did it his way, and look at the success it's brought him. Man, the dude's just a monster. He's a draw. People pay to see him. They were chanting his name. It was incredible. So I'm proud of him. I'm really happy for him.
Good stuff. Speaking of proud, man, I'm proud of you for all your accomplishments outside of WWE, man. So keep it up, and
thanks, bro.
It's all. I've been a journalist for a decade now, and I've interviewed over 300 wrestlers. I think I'm at 17 WWE Hall of Famers now. 16
impressive.
or 17 WWE Hall
That's
of
really
Famers.
impressive.
Thank you, man. And I love the fact. I love when someone makes a very lucrative life outside of pro wrestling, because unfortunately there's a lot of people who, it's an independent contracted sport. So you whenever you make it, if you save, you'll be okay. If you spend and limousine ride and jet fly, kiss stealing, wheeling, dealing, son of a gun, and buy all the Lear jets and go all to the most expensive restaurants. When you hit 60, 65, man, you probably won't have too much to live for it. So you probably have to, fight some backyard independent shows to make a buck. You know what I mean? So, and unfortunately, I know wrestlers like that, and it's like, it always makes me happy to see wrestlers. You know what? I really like pro wrestling, but there's life outside of wrestling. So if I get let go of WWE, my life's not over. I can start a new one, and things are well. Nova, I'm buddies with Nova, and he's some big head honcho for like Fifth Third Bank or something like that. You know what I mean? So
love Nova. Yeah, no, yeah. I think the hardest part is when you're a professional wrestler. You're a doctor. How many years did it take you to even get that right? As a professional wrestler, like you go to wrestling school, you pay your dues in the indies, you work hard, you do tryouts, maybe don't pan out. I worked for years to get to WWE. Then when you leave, it's almost like at least you feel like you're starting from zero. That was my identity. And now I'm sitting in, Santa Monica College classes, and it's just night and day. It was very humbling, right? Mm-hmm. And you kind of struggle with that a little bit to figure out who you are and what you're gonna do. Mm-hmm. But again, like wrestling was something I did, but it didn't define who I was. I was trying to figure out who I was, and so it was kind of an opportunity for me to figure that out, and it all worked out. But I think struggling with that and holding on to that idea of like, I was a pro wrestler and I got to keep doing this, and hey, I respect anyone that does stay in the business and continue to do it. For me, it was like, that was my time to hang it up. I'm done. Let me close this chapter of my life, move on to something else. So I think it's hard for some guys because they have trouble letting go. But again, if their ultimate goal is to get back, good for them. And I think it's great.
Likewise.
But yeah, it sucks when you hear about guys struggling with that. So
I agree. Well, speaking of wrestling, you're able to kill two birds with one stone and have a successful, lucrative career outside of wrestling, but fulfill your itch with your wrestling school. So let them know about it, my man.
Yeah. So Manicore Wrestling Academy. You can find us on Instagram at Manicore Wrestling Academy. Man, I'm running it out of my detached garage. And I got a 16-foot ring, which is what we had at Ohio Valley before they moved into their bigger facility. Mm-hmm. But that was the one Brock changed in a 16-foot ring. Cena, all those guys did. Yeah. So it's not the biggest place in the world, but man, it's everything you need to learn the right way and how to make it in pro wrestling, right? Like when you think about Stu Hart, that dude didn't even have a ring. That dude had his basement with some mats, right?
Basement,
the dungeon, right? I don't, yeah. So, Manticore Wrestling Academy, it's awesome, and you'll learn the right way to professional wrestle. So, hit me up.
Well, congrats on the project, man. I know it's going to be successful, and looks like you have a knack for finding success, man. So keep it up, and you got our support here from the pro wrestling community, man. And if you're in the California area, Northern California area, give that guy a buzz and join his academy. And I know all these people are aspiring wrestling. What are the tenderfoots? The rookies, tenderfoots. Yeah. So all you wrestling tenderfoots out there, give my man Johnny Jeter a call if you're in the California area.
I'd love that.
Appreciate your time, man. Thanks for the chat.
Of course, anytime. Thanks.
Have a good night. Bye-bye.